every year there's a NBA player that goes from being a nice young piece to hold on. This dude may be a star. Last year, a player like that was Deni Avdija, who made an absolute leap last year. And this year, there are several guys and candidates who can make that type of leap this upcoming season. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. I want to talk about 4 players who I believe are poised to make a star-level leap next season, because not only is one of my guys, Matas Buzelis, on the list, but Amen Thompson and some other players are also on this list. So we're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the #1 place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of the Full Court Podcast. My name is Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow us at the Full Court YT on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go to get into this content for today. I want to start off with this, and I feel like I have to say this every time there's a list made, because there's some dumbass in the chat that's like, well, actually, you should have had this player named. And it's like, that's your list. This is my list, right? And I'm not saying that my list holds any more weight than anybody else, but I'm here to deliver my list, not your list. Now, with that said, I do want to hear from everybody in the comment section. I want to hear your list of players that you think are poised for a breakout season. Make sure you guys sign off in the comment section down below for that. But let's go ahead and get started on my list. #1, I'm putting my guy at the top. And I think I do a fairly good job at trying to put my bias for my team, the Chicago Bulls, and not bring that over to this. I don't even talk about a lot of Bulls stuff here over on this channel, but in this list, I feel like it's warranted. Matas Buzelis is a player that I feel like is really poised for a breakout in this. Now, there's some questions in regards to Matas and the consistency, dealing with physicality, the pecking order on that team. But if Matas is going to make a leap in year 3, he's a real big candidate to do it. We already see the jump that he made in his sophomore year, going up to 16 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists. The shooting numbers from 3 dropped a little bit, but that's, the Bulls were a 3-point spamming team last year under Billy Donovan, right? I do think that last year he had a 41-point game that showed the star ceiling that's capable there, right? I think with the style that the Bulls are going to play as well, with being more in transition, Josh Giddey having the keys, you have a backline defense in Nic Claxton, a better forward combo with him and Caleb Wilson as well. I think that this, when you look at the rotation and everything for this team, there's a big chance for Matas Buzelis to hit a leap, being more towards 20 points per game. And if he does that, he's already been working with Dirk Nowitzki, in the offseason. He's talked about that he wants to work some with Deni Avdija, a player that had a breakout last year that played for his coach in Tiago Splitter. I think that's there, right? It finally feels like the Chicago Bulls have a roster that makes sense. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be some juggernaut or anything like that, and the win total could come down to that, but I think Matas is going to have the opportunity. I know that Caleb Wilson is an absolute star in the making as well, but with Matas being older right now, the more tenured player, I think that he's going to have a very clear runway here. Now, it's up to him to take advantage of him. But I'm going to say that the leap isn't automatic. While we're typically trained to think that players make this leap in year 3, we've seen it like Deni, this guy I'm keep going back to, like he's in year 5 when he made that leap, something like that. And I think that when you look at it too, the Bulls have more offensive mouths to feed as it stands right now. You have Norman Powell there. You have Caleb Wilson, who he wants to develop as well. Josh Giddey's going to get his shots, right? Those type of things are going to be there. And I think that this team is going to have to make some team improvement if he's going to want to do anything more than just fill the stat sheet. But I do think that there is a breakout path here for Matas Buzelis to average 20 points per game, and not just in flashes and being consistent in that. I think the breakout path for Matas Buzelis comes down to he has to average about 22 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 2 or 3 assists per game, probably about 2.5 stocks per game. He was a guy that averaged almost 2 blocks per game at times last season. So I think 2.5 stocks per game between steals and blocks is a really good thing for him. And if the Bulls end up being, better than what people are thinking, I think that he has a chance, and an absolute chance, to break out. Now, I'll say that he's probably lower on the list than some of these other guys in the grand scheme of the NBA. But I'm going to talk about my guy first because, again, I'm a Bulls fan, and it's my channel. But the next guy that I do think absolutely has a chance, and that's one skill away, is Amen Thompson with the Houston Rockets. Like, this is a guy that has so much potential ahead of him. And, him and as well as Şengün, like, if those two guys really do make like these next leaps into their career, the Houston Rockets are going to be perennial, Western Conference favorite team, right up there with the Spurs and the OKC Thunder if they're able to do it. He averaged 18.3 points, 7.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. And the thing about Amen Thompson that stands out so much, and that why he can make that, is the two-way play that he brings, for one. And also, he's not a player that needs the ball to be effective and to turn eyes on him. That's the thing about Amen Thompson and why, a lot of people look at him as a player that can absolutely turn into a star. Some people think he may already be Houston's best player as far as, especially with that two-way ability. But Amen Thompson is a guy that you look at, and just as a pure hooper, how do you not like this guy? The athleticism, the transition play, he rebounds like a big sometimes, right? And his ability to get those rebounds, those 7.8 rebounds are so important for the Houston Rockets and what they needed to do last year. Of course, the Achilles heel for Amen Thompson is that he's not a three-point shooter. At this point of his career 21.9% three-point shooter. And so there are still times where the defense goes into a zone, or if you try to force him to shoot, you can force him to have an offense night. But I think when you look at this, he has one of the best two-way cases of anybody on this list. And I think that Houston continuing to improve as a team, getting Fred VanVleet back, those type of things are going to help him. And I think Amen Thompson, with Matas, I think he can make a leap statistically in the way that he's viewed. I don't know if Matas can be an all-star. I don't know if the Bulls are going to win enough games. Amen Thompson can be an all-star this year. He can be in that all-star conversation this year, right? But the shooting still does matter because it allows defenses to sag off of him. The jumper is still going to determine. One thing that I always ask about players that have questionable jumpers is how many areas of the game do you impact when your jumper's not falling? And for Amen Thompson, it's a lot of areas, right? But it still comes down to that jumper is still one of the biggest swing skills for him. If he can turn into a consistent jump shooter, it opens up so much of the floor for him with that athleticism, that quick first step, all of those type of things, right? Now, the question comes down to, is he going to be a top 2 or a top 3 offensive option for the Houston Rockets next season? And I think that's a legitimate question to ask here when it comes to Amen Thompson. All-star voting typically rewards scoring more than it rewards two-way play. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with that. I'm not saying that's the way that it should be, but I am saying that that is the way that it goes in regards to it. That swing skill of shooting really becomes such a big part of him. Now, with Houston hiring Chip Engelland as their shooting coach, and you see how players have increased under him, Amen Thompson may be able to get that jumper together as soon as this season. If he adds that jumper, a respectable jumper, to everything else that he does, all the different areas he impacts the game as well, man, this is going to be a big season. I think this is a season where Amen Thompson can average over 20 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And with elite defense on top of that, that sounds like an all-star to me. So I think that's what it comes down to. The biggest question is just usage for him. How does the pecking order of the offense work for Houston next season? And we'll see. They'll have an actual point guard in there next year to help kind of distribute those things, even though Fred VanVleet isn't like the most traditional setup point guard. But I do think there's a lot of possibility for him. Do not count him out. The next guy I want to talk about is Ace Bailey. Now, I know putting a second-year player on here is a little bit ridiculous in regards to it, but I think you got to look at Ace Bailey, and you know that this is a guy that with the Utah Jazz also finally moving out of tanking, right? They're not going to be tanking. This could help accelerate the way that he's viewed too. Now, I know Darren Peterson's going to be there. He's going to get a lion's share of the shots, things like that, but they are not going to ignore the development of Ace Bailey either. You look at last year, right? His season numbers last year were decent. 13 points, 4.2 rebounds, 1.8 assists. But then when you look at the late season, the flashes that he had in regards to that, where his usage went up to 26.7% and the scoring went up to 20.6 points per game during that stretch for the Utah Jazz, I'm telling you, this guy with the 6'9" talent that he has, he's a shot-making wing. Those guys, the pull-up jumper that he showed, the flashes in regards to that, the transition scoring, which I think they're going to get more opportunities to get in regards to that one. Ace Bailey is a guy that can make a huge leap here in year 2, playing off Darren Peterson, and hopefully, and I'm sure the Utah Jazz are hoping, you're looking at the next duo for them in regards to Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson. I think that's great. If Ace Bailey can become a 20-point-per-game scorer with improved defense, and Utah, which is going to be more competitive because they're going to finally stop trying to tank every single season, I think that that's the exact type of profile that gets rewarded in the NBA as well. There's going to be some questions about role clarity there for him. You have Peterson. You have Lauri Marketing. You have Keontae George. You have Jaren Jackson. You have Sensabaugh. You have so many players in regards to that one. And so there is a question on if Ace Bailey is going to fall down to the third option that sometimes gets hot and has hot stretches, right? And if that happens, then that blow up, that breakout can be pushed down the road, and that's fine. He's in year 2. Like if Ace Bailey doesn't break out to year 3 or year 4, that's perfectly fine. But I do think that out of the starting 5, the projected starting 5 for Utah, Ace Bailey has a chance that his defense and his shooting consistency are going to be things that have to improve for him. If those things improve for Ace Bailey, man, this is going to be a seasonal watch for Ace, especially playing with Darren Peterson. I think that Utah Jazz team has a chance to be a really fun team. I know that's a lot to say about a team that has sucked for years and years and years, basically since they traded Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. But for some reason, I look at this roster and I'm like, I really like a lot of the pieces that they have on this roster. So we'll see what happens. Next up, Trey Murphy III, man. And I think when you look at the numbers for Trey Murphy III last season, 21.5 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 1.5 steals. He shot 47% from the field and almost 38% from three. Listen, and his ability to put up near all-star production from the wing, like that's already all-star production. This is a guy that could very much so pop this season. The question is always about the Pelicans roster because this is a roster that always has had some really good talent on it, but they've just never been able to win, right? The question becomes about, like, you know, is he going to make a leap for more than just a shooter who helps spaces the floor? Is he going to attack closeouts better? Is he going to make more plays coming off the bounce? Those type of things. If Ace Bailey can do those things, look, I think he can become a true second option on a winning team. I think that's who Trey Murphy can end up turning into, is a really good second option and maybe an elite third option in regards to that if he goes there. A player with his size, the shooting gravity that he has, the efficiency and the athleticism, I'm telling you right now, he fits that mold of a Deni Avdija style leap probably more than anybody else on this list, and that's really good when you come into it. New Orleans reportedly are turning down trade offers for him. They've already invested into him financially as well. I think when you look at that, he's on a 4-year, $112 million contract. So you would think that means that the Pelicans view him as more of a core piece than just a role player that he's played so far. And that's what you're going to hope is going to come in here in regards to this one. The biggest question and obstacle for Trey Murphy III on this list comes down to, A, the team level of success, because the Pelicans have just been disappointing for so long, but also the hierarchy. Where does it fall in the scoring hierarchy for that? Like, right, of course you expect him to be behind Zion, but you still got players like DeJounte Murray, Jordan Poole on this team, stuff like that you're still questioning, like, what are they going to look at? What is it going to look like for those players? But I'll tell you what, Trey Murphy III, if he keeps on, and I know there have been a lot of teams that have question on his availability, those calls are going to get very, very, very loud coming into next season. And it may be so much so that the Pelicans can't continue to turn down those talks or something like that. I think that's when you look at it, like, this is a guy that, like, the numbers are already there. If he doesn't make another step statistically, the numbers are already there. It's about the gravity, how consistently he does it, and the eyes that are going to be on him. But I think that Trey Murphy is a guy that people, may be late on because the numbers already say that this guy's a near all-star and he's knocking on that door, and we're going to see, right? So when you look at it as far as who has the best case, not only to make a breakout, but who has the best case to be a first-time all-star next season, right? That's part of this as well. I think when you look at it, probably Amen Thompson has the best case. He's going to be on a team that's going to win a lot of games. He's going to have a lot of ability to stat pad all the way around. I don't mean that as a negative. He's going to impact the game of basketball in so many different areas. I also think Trey Murphy has a pretty damn good case too. Amen Thompson, Ace Bailey and Matas Buzelis probably have the more uphill battle in regards to being a first-time all-star. But Amen Thompson, man, I'm telling you guys, like, one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I think this guy's going to have an absolute breakout next year. But all these guys could very much so have a breakout next year. But I want to hear from you guys in regards to this one. Looking at this list, I know I left it at 4. There's probably another 3-4 players that I could have put on this list, but I wanted to leave some room open for conversation. I wanted to leave some room open as well to hear from you guys who's on your list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Who should be on this list for you guys? I think other players that could have been put on here as well. It's like, I'll let y'all talk about it, right? I'll let y'all talk about it in regards to that, because I do think there are some other players that could be put on this list. So Shaedon Sharpe could have been on it as well. When you look at him averaging over 21 points per game and what that means for him coming into next season also. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Make sure you guys sound off in that comment section. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at the Full Court YT. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything basketball and NBA related. And I'll catch you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Been a presentation of the Breaks Media.